I am by nature a visionary. I'm always thinking 3 years, 5 years, 10 years down the road. I will walk down our hallways and walk into our cafe here in the church, and I'll see your kids and your grandkids, and I start asking myself, how do I help that child become a fully devoted follower of Jesus Christ? How do I help that child grow up, want to bring their spouse, want to bring their children and their grandchildren to Calvary Hill Church, for them as well to become fully devoted followers of Jesus Christ? I'm constantly thinking vision, and it's where I live. I love that. But I'm learning that the details really matter. Matter of fact, we'll come out of a service, we'll come out of maybe a life group series or season, we'll come out of a growth track series, we'll have maybe a volleys or something like this, and I'm thinking, man, this was great, and it helps us in our mission to become fully devoted followers of Jesus Christ. And Pastor Joe will come into that same pastoral team meeting or whatever meeting we're in, and he'll say, hey, I've got a list of things that we can do to make it better. And I got to be honest with you, there was a time when it used to annoy me, because I was like, man, can we just not high-five each other for a few minutes? Because it really worked out well, and I feel like people grew in their faith. And he challenges me on that and says, but we can make it better. It's not just about being good. We want to be great. God deserves our best. And we agree with that. And so I'm like, all right, then I'll listen to what you've got to say. I'm realizing, man, he's making some strong points. And then we'll do this very same thing again, but we'll implement what he's putting in, and it becomes remarkably better. My wife is another person that loves details. In particular, she loves systems. She wants everything, systems for everything. And if we move out of the system, in her world, everything has kind of come apart. And she's like, Brent, if we can just implement this system into the church, trust me, all of our lives are going to become so much easier, and the lives of the people in the church is going to become easier. Trust me, it's going to work. And I'm thinking, you know what, I really don't want to get into that, but after a while, I'm thinking, you know what, let's try it, let's see. And guess what? We go through these systems, and I start noticing, wow, our lives have become so much easier. And people in our church who love systems as well are going, thank you. Thank you for implementing this system. I love this. And everybody's life becomes easier. And it's just because there were some detailed people in my life who pointed out details and forced me from the vision side down to the detail side. And what I find is the vision is being able to be accomplished so much quicker because the details are in place, and they force the vision. They give the vision a base to stand on. It makes me appreciate Pastor Joe and my wife so much in this. And now, as you know, Pastor Tyler has come on the scene, and I'm finding that he has some of these same tendencies, and I think he's going to continue to add to that as well. How does that apply to you? Why does this matter to you? Here's what I know. I know some of you are people that you see details. You are detailed people. You care about the details. It matters to you. But I also know some of you are vision-oriented people. Matter of fact, I've met people that have great vision and will come to me and say, Pastor, I just have a burden for whatever, Ecuador. I want to win all of Ecuador for Jesus. And I have to say to them, why don't you start by having daily devotions? Why don't you start by reading the Bible today? Why don't you start by just being involved in prayer? Pastor, I want to do great ministry. Okay, why don't you start by getting involved in ministry here at the church? Why don't you start by signing up for a life group, filling out the survey and being a part? Why don't you start by registering and just coming to church on a regular basis? Why don't you start by getting involved in a growth track? Why don't you start with something here, some detailed stuff here that helps you get going? I have people say, I want to be the best husband, the best wife ever. Okay, well, I'm glad you want this, and you have great visions for where you guys are going to be in 20 years, and you need to have those visions. But why don't you start by complimenting and finding things that you love about your spouse now and telling them? Why don't you start by holding their hand? Why don't you start by just loving them today? I want to be the best dad, the best mom ever. I want them to grow up and love Jesus with all their hearts and think that I was the funnest mom or dad ever. Okay, why don't you start by getting down on the floor with them now and playing with them as they're playing with their cars and their dolls and everything else? Yeah, I would, but I'm a guy, it's my daughter, and she's playing with like a Barbie doll, and I'm not into that. It doesn't matter. Do that first. Start with that. Build relationship first. It may seem like a small thing, but it's huge. It'll take you a long way in your faith, but it'll take you a long way in your relationships as well. So often we have grandiose plans for our lives. We have great visions for it, and we never realize it because we never get into the details. I'm learning to have a love-hate relationship with details. I hate them because I don't like to implement them, but I realize they're very good for me. And the more I can have in my life, the better off it's going to make me, my family, Calvary Hill Church. And I hope that you'll learn to appreciate some details in your lives and allow God to bring those into your life as well. Hey, by the way, speaking of details, don't forget to click on the links and to register for church on Sunday, 9 or 10:45. We now have a good balance, so you can choose either service. I know some of you went from the 9 o'clock to the 10:45 to help us balance it out, but at this point, again, it's evened out, so choose either one. Also, life group surveys, please, please, please. We're running out of time to fill those things out, and we're going to kind of use that to determine what we're going to do. Even if you've been involved in a life group for many months or many years or whatever, make sure that you fill that thing out for us. And last but certainly not least, we're so excited because now we're starting to look into to having kids ministry again, and we have to figure out what that's going to look like. But we desperately need you to respond to an email that Pastor Tyler and Kaylee sent out so that we can get that going again, and that you can help the children become fully devoted followers of Jesus Christ. Guys, it's not just babysitting. You are ministering to not only this generation, but to the next as well. And hey, guys, thank you so much. We love you. We appreciate you. Can't wait to worship with you very soon. God bless.